Welcome back to the Escape Podcast. As you may remember from the last episode, we left off on a cliffhanger. Right as we were about to get to part 2 of our spoof-off, Josh suddenly had to poop.
Didn't. It was bad.
All right, great. Thanks. Welcome back to the Escape Podcast. Last time we did the 1989 comedy spoof, UHF. And now we're doing the 1996 comedy spoof, Spy Hard. This was your pick.
Yes, it was.
What made you pick this?
Because I knew Weird Al was in like the little intro, so kind of made it like a little theme, I guess.
Yeah, it makes a nice little transition. The movie opens up with kind of a Bond-esque scene, followed by a Bond-esque opening credits with Weird Al singing his intro over silhouetted women and various other things, I guess.
Yeah.
Have you seen this movie before?
Oh, yeah.
All right. Well, why don't you get us started here?
All right. So today, like he said, is Spy Hard. It was released on May 24th, 1996. It was directed by Rick Fireberg, if I'm saying it right. Hopefully, maybe not. Who cares? And it stars Leslie Nielsen, Nicolette Sheridan, Andy Griffith, and Barry Boswick. It was made on a budget of $18 million and made just a little over $26 million at the box office. It has a critical score of 8% and an audience score of 31% on Rotten Tomatoes. So, although his character was meant to be in his early 50s, Leslie Nielsen was actually 70 years old at the time of filming.
That's crazy.
Yeah. No, there was some stuff he did that impressed me.
You could tell, like, he may not have been able to move around as easily as he once did, but he was in pretty good shape for a 70-year-old.
Yes. The film features several cameos, including that of Mr. T, Ray Charles, Fabio, Pat Morita, Joyce Brothers, Alex Trebek, Hulk Hogan, Curtis Armstrong, Michael Berryman, Twee Trang, Weird Al, Eddie Deezer, and it also has 3 cast members from one of me and Brandon's favorite shows, Everybody Loves Raymond, which includes Brad Garrett, Charles Durning, and Robert Culp.
Charles Durning was in Everybody Loves Raymond?
Yes, he was the priest, Father Hubley. He was in the 6 or so episodes.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I recognize Charles Durning or During?
Durning, Durning.
Okay. I recognize him the most actually from Oh Brother, Where Art
Yep.
Thou? And he's a pretty good actor. I like that guy.
Yeah. The scene with the horse in the elevator features the same stuntman and his real-life wife, Lauren and Ginger James, mirroring the scene they did from True Lies.
What would you know about that movie?
Yeah. Spy Hard makes several references to many other films, including that of James Bond, E.T., Pulp Fiction, Home Alone, Jurassic Park, True Lies, Sister Act, Speed, In the Line of Fire, Commando. However, not one to Die Hard, at least not that I noticed.
Yeah, that would have been great had they done that.
Right.
All right. So what's the synopsis of this movie? What's the story about?
You just see your basic run-of-the-mill spy movie things. Your good guy has a bad guy that he's been battling for several years, holds responsible for killing his wife, girlfriend, whatever, has a missile. He's going to try to hold the world hostage, and he's got to save the day.
This came out in 96. In 97, we would also get Austin Powers.
Right.
And it's basically the same as that. So you consider like Andy Griffith is kind of the Dr. Evil of this movie.
So have you ever seen this movie?
I had not, and it was a joy to me when the movie opened up with Mr. T flying the helicopter. I thought that was great.
Yeah, which is funny that they didn't make a A-Team reference since he hated flying in that show.
Right, yeah, I immediately thought of that. It's funny that he was flying the helicopter when he hated flying in the A-Team.
This was one of those movies, I don't know, I loved like these goofy movies at that time, and I think my taste has kind of changed a bit. I don't get into them as much, but I remember really finding this funny when I was a kid.
Yeah, I can see that. I laughed quite a bit. Me and Christy watched it. She enjoyed it. Yeah, there's a lot of goofy stuff in this one. Now, it's not Leslie Nielsen's probably biggest, most famous role is the Naked Gun series.
That Airplane probably too.
Okay, but this isn't the same people that did Naked Gun.
No, I don't know about that, but I'm just saying as far as big movies for him, Airplane and Naked Gun are probably the ones he's known a lot for. I mean, I also think of Forbidden Planet, but that's way different type of movie, obviously.
Well, you were saying you actually kind of want to do a after this one, a sci-fi double feature.
Yes,
featuring
that's true.
Forbidden Planet.
Right. Which is funny. So these two movies have Weird Al as a loose connection. The next two movies will have Leslie Nielsen.
Yeah, I get jump from one to the other. But no, my point is that you could compare this to the Naked Gun movies, but the Naked Gun movies was a different team.
Right.
And this spoof team was actually the people responsible for stuff like Scary Movie or Date Movie and all those movies.
Yeah, they later went on to that kind of stuff, yeah. Which is, I mean, in the same vein, but...
We were kind of talking about the differences in the way that UHF was spoofing things and the way that this was spoofing things. And you had a good point. That's something I wanted to bring up is like...
Every point I have is good.
The people that do like the Scary Movie and all that stuff, a lot of their stuff is kind of like Family Guy, where a reference isn't a joke, but they treat it as though it is one.
Yeah, it's very much about what is the current movies out now,
Mm-hmm.
and we're going to build our movie around that. How to spoof and reference this one, then that one.
Yeah, for us looking back, it's not as bad for you or I because when like the speed scene happens, we know what's going on. We understand like what they're talking about. But anybody that hasn't seen that or wasn't around then, they're not going to know. They're just going to think like craziness is happening for no reason, which it kind of is. A good example is like in Scary Movie 2, there's a scene where they just kind of bust out doing like a basketball, like a shoe commercial that was on at the time. Like it was a silly shoe commercial and they're parodying this specific commercial that nobody's even really going to remember now. So when that happens in the movie, it just kind of comes out of nowhere and it doesn't make any sense. So you don't even know what you're looking at. Like, what's the joke there?
Yeah, a lot of those movies, I think they are not just a product of their times, but like they almost have to be consumed right then and there when what's happening is hot and known, because they're immediately, like you said, it's old news. It's little stuff like that. Cause they're referencing commercials and stuff too. You know, like you said, yeah, people might remember an old show or an old movie, but to remember this commercial, you know, they are really relying on getting it out fast so that what they're doing is still relevant.
Yeah. I'm looking now, Naked Gun was David Zucker. He also did Kentucky Fried Movie, which I've never seen. Have you?
Trying to remember. I'm not sure. I can't recall.
It's kind of like a mockumentary from what I gather. I've never seen it, but I'm interested in it. He also is the one that did Airplane, Top Secret, which is a great spoof movie with Val Kilmer in it. Ruthless People, Naked Gun 1 and 2 and 3. High School High, Basketball. They're not all winners, but I guess he was involved in Scary Movie 3 and 4, but not 1 and 2.
How many of those are there?
Apparently at least 5, because there's one that says Scary Movie 5.
Okay. I might have seen the first one. I can't recall.
It's a different team this time, and their comedy isn't as funny, but this movie still made me laugh.
Yeah, so there was a few scenes that I did laugh at. Right off the bat, you have Norman Coleman. Norman Coleman. That's funny. Barry Boswick. And he's doing this very JFK type way of speaking.
Yeah, clam chowder.
Yeah. And I think it's funny right off the bat, you know, they're talking about we need to get Steele back involved. He's like, do you remember the last time when he was in the line of fire? And then literally they cut to spoofing in the line of fire, which I thought, okay, that's kind of a funny to even work the title of the movie you're now referencing. But I don't know, little things like that, you know.
Yeah. Some of them I could see coming, like the Jurassic Park one. As soon as I saw him in a jungle, I'm like, they've got to do it. Yeah, and then we get the Velociraptor.
Yeah, I mean, in quick little bursts, it didn't look too bad, but some of the shots I could see, it was like, you know, pretty thrown together.
Which is surprising because this movie had such a bigger budget than Jurassic Park did. No, I'm just messing around. Yeah, you know, some of the spoofs were great. Other ones you could kind of see come in, and other ones like the Pulp Fiction one didn't really land for me.
No, I didn't find that very funny either, but
like it just happened to happen for no reason.
Now that's a perfect example, I think, where it was like Pulp Fiction was obviously a current movie. Then let's just do something with it. You know, some of these spoofs, at least they kind of flow into it naturally or seemingly naturally. It was just like, oh, let's just do a Pulp Fiction scene. I was reading how Leslie Nielsen was apparently a big practical joker, and he carried a little like a little thing that made fart sounds. And apparently he was big on messing with people with that. The scene where the director, who's constantly hiding in different places for whatever reason in his room, when people come in, they never know where
Charles Journey.
They never know where he's
That
at.
was one of my favorite parts of the movie, by the way.
Yeah. So people will come in the room and he's hiding somewhere and they don't really explain why he's doing this, but he is. And Leslie Nielsen comes in, he sits in the chair. Unbeknownst to him, the director is wearing like pieces of chair to look like the chair.
And by director, you don't mean like the film director.
No, the director of like the CIA or whatever their branch is called. And he starts, just cranking them out on this chair. And when he says, "Great Scott," and he gets up, like it actually looked like Leslie Nielsen was like, it looked like a legitimate smile. Like he found that scene funny to do. Or I don't know if it was just they were having a lot of fun doing that scene. I don't know. It just looked like he was actually smiling, like genuinely.
Right. Yeah, he's a really silly guy. It's funny that he started off as more dramatic, and now he's become to be known as almost like the spoof master in a way.
Right.
He starred in some of these types of movies.
Yeah, for sure. Besides really Forbidden Planet, what else was he in that was like more of a serious movie?
He was in the first Creepshow movie. Let me pull him up. Actually, I think I got him right here. I'm just looking at some of the stuff. I don't know a lot of it because this goes all the way back to 1955. But the Battle of Gettysburg, Night Train to Paris, just a whole lot of them that are like that, where they're more dramatic movies.
Right. This type of movie probably didn't exist until like the 70s somewhere. These like kind of
the Poseidon Adventure.
Okay. Anyway, why don't you tell me your thoughts about it?
Oh yeah, I love that Charles Durning. Like they didn't initially have him doing that. They just kind of had him in a room, like in a meeting room, where it was similar to when Dr. Evil first comes back and starts threatening the world leaders. They're all sitting in this room, and he's like, "Hey, I'm back." Oh, that's another thing too that's kind of funny is Matlock. Like we have Andy Griffith in this role, and he's so known for the Andy Griffith Show and for Matlock, and it's just so weird to see him in a movie and then also playing a bad guy. And he seemed like he actually had a lot of fun with it. Like he was really, it seemed like he was really into his role. He was delivering his stuff.
Yeah. Now, how were you saying they introduced the director?
Oh, when they introduced the director, it was when Andy Griffith was threatening them, like Dr. Evil saying, I need $1 million, kind of like that type of scene. So we didn't understand that he was a zany character at first because he wasn't introduced like that. But then later on,
no, he was hiding. Remember, they came in the room and he was in the table when he had the phone. They were talking to him like on the phone. Yeah. And he rises up.
Well, I didn't notice that.
And then that's where they're like, you got to put it on VCR. Channel 3, no Channel 4. Now,
I didn't notice him hiding in the table then. So it caught me even more off guard then when Leslie Nielsen comes in. He does the whole Moneypenny scene, like from a James Bond movie, where he's flirting with the receptionist. And he walks into the office and he's looking around. They're playing like the mystery style music.
Right.
Just looking around. Can't find Charles Durning anywhere. Sits on that chair, like you're saying, and then lets loose with some gas. And then later on, the other guy comes in, the one doing the Kennedy impression.
Right. He actually moves around.
You can see him moving around in the background. He's got the curtains on.
He looks like wallpaper, and it's a picture of George Washington. So it looks like this piece of wall with George Washington, but his face is coming out of Washington's face. And then
he very quickly changes costumes in that scene too.
Yeah, like the back of him was the wall with the like Venetian blinds. So when he moves to that scene, then the guy starts opening the blinds, and there he is.
And what do we see?
Some bootai.
Yeah. That part to me was one of the funniest things. I
remember laughing at that as a kid.
I got a lot of entertainment from the cameos, and I don't know why. I just thought they were great, especially like Mr. T was great, and so was Ray Charles as a bus driver was pretty good. Let's go here. The bus will be much safer, and he opens up the door. Get on in.
Yeah, because some things I remembered really well, and some not so much. When he gets to the part where he's tied up, like toward the end, and he tags in Hulk Hogan to fight for him.
Oh, yeah, and of course I love that part, too.
And I thought, oh, great, I can't wait for you to see that.
Yeah, that was great. And it's funny, this came out in 96. That was right before, if anybody's familiar with wrestling from that time, right before Hulk Hogan...
Nobody cares.
Right before he became a bad guy and started wearing black and white, because in this movie, he's still wearing the red and yellow.
Ketchup and mustard, baby.
Yeah. Hot dog.
Yeah. So I'm kind of surprised since Weird Al, he did the intro, but I'm surprised they didn't just throw a little part to him elsewhere in the movie. Just something. It seems like, he would have been up for it.
Oh, I don't know. He got to do the opening and the ending.
And I thought it was funny that his song says like in there, like, obviously made for theaters. He's like something like, by the way, if you came in late, allow me to reiterate the name of this movie is Spy Hard. And then if you listen to the end credits, it says something like, you just saw Spy Hard. You're leaving Spy Hard.
Uh-huh. Yeah, Al's songs are pretty good, and it's funny he's able to do them in that kind of Bondish style. So of all the people that have deserved or thought, they would probably make a pretty good Bond song, I would have never thought Weird Al would have been one of them.
You don't think of him as being a good singer. You just think of him being as zany. I think he could probably sing pretty good if he was trying to.
Me being as big of a fan as James Bond as I am, that a lot of the entertainment came from that too, just seeing like little things that they do. Like everybody had a very specific way they ordered their drink, which I thought was funny. It was a running gag. There were a couple of running gags in this that I liked.
I Heart to Party.
What's that one?
The guy that kept getting stabbed in his I Heart to Party shirt, or I Love to Party shirt, but it was a heart.
Yeah.
And it was right where his heart was, and he kept getting stabbed in it.
There's another one where people would say, what is it? Like, something's on the camera, sir. What is it? And then instead of saying what was on the camera.
It's this little device that allows us to see inside the room.
Right, that was a funny
body temperature. No, what is it?
Yeah, I love that gag. I thought that was great. They do that a few times. But as far as the James Bond stuff goes, like he's Agent WD-40, which is kind of funny. It's not hilarious, but it's kind of funny.
All right, I'm going to ask you a serious question. What is James Bond?
What?
I never heard of it.
Oh, it's silly. Well, we'll cover those eventually too.
No.
Here's something I wrote in my notes that kind of caught my attention. He says, "Arms up the wazoo."
Yep.
Wazoo is kind of
booty hole.
A big thing for us.
Arms up my booty hole.
From the Great Outdoors.
Oh, I thought you were. Wow, where did I go?
I don't know.
With that? I thought you were saying like it was a code for like fingers up my booty hole.
No, what?
Wazoo, blow it out your wazoo.
Yeah,
obviously blow it out your butthole.
Didn't you say when you typed in wazoo at one point, you actually found our podcast? Like it was one of the top links.
Yeah.
And that was all because of the Great Outdoors.
I was trying to find other things connected to the Great Outdoors movie on YouTube, and our review of it came up. And I don't remember. I must have keyworded it in there. Blow it out your wazoo.
That's funny. It's hilarious. I think that's something people actually search for too, all thanks to that movie. I noticed they kind of had the same helicopter gag that they had in UHF. They go and they pick up like it's free helicopter rides, and they get the keys from a girl. And
yes, they did do that,
which is really funny. I mentioned that in the previous episode, UHF, that this would come up again.
I don't believe you.
And Weird Al looks a little shaggier in this than he did in UHF.
This is the classic Weird Al look. When I think of Weird Al, I typically think of glasses, the mustache, the long curly hair. And I know he since has ditched the glasses, and I think he's even now ditched the mustache. I don't know if he's still doing that same hairstyle.
No, his hair is very long now.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay. Is it still like that same curl, though?
I think when this movie came out, he was in the process of growing it out. That's why it's so much longer in this than it is in UHF.
Yeah, I just think of the Bad Hair Day album, which I think came out in 96.
Uh-huh.
So, and that's what he looks like. That's when I typically think of Weird Al. That's what I think.
Okay. Some of the flashbacks are a little long. Some of the jokes seem to work better when they're quicker.
Absolutely. Yeah. One of the things that actually made me laugh, because it was just so obviously so goofy looking. They're doing the True Lies bit, and he's just got out the elevator with the horse, and he's trying to make this jump, and as he's going, you see his face, and it's like, oh, and then they show a close up of the horse, and its mouth, and it's going, oh, like for some reason it was just so stupid looking, but it made me laugh.
Yeah, the horse scene is pretty funny.
Yeah.
I recognized they had warned him that there was going to be a girl coming after him. You remember when she was waiting in the hotel room for him?
Yes. I know she's in one of the Bonds.
Yeah, I recognize her.
License to Kill?
It is. License to Kill. She's one of the Bond girls.
Oh, yeah.
She plays Lupe in that.
Now, is she in like that whole movie or just like a small bit?
Yeah, she's one of the main characters.
Okay.
I don't think she's been in a whole lot, though. I believe she's like a model, and she has a pretty small filmography. But it's funny that they got her. They're already referencing a lot of Bond stuff, and they have a Bond girl in it. That's pretty good.
Well, yeah, and I think even the main girl, I think she was a model too. Nicolette
Sheridan. Yeah.
Yes, I believe she was a model as well, and so she doesn't have a lot of movie stuff. But I guess now she's more known as in Desperate Housewives.
Okay.
I never watched it, but just learned that.
Neither have I.
Yeah, you have. One of the things that I remember the most was like he flashes back to the picture of her. That's her falling off the cliff.
While they were on the bike together?
That's where he flashes back to that scene on the bike, like when they first met or whatever. Yeah. But like, yeah, he's got this picture of her while she's falling to her death. And it's like, one, how could he have taken the picture? And two, why would he keep it? It's so dumb.
I'm trying to look up her name because they said it over and over again, but I don't remember now. There was
I know she played both the mother and the daughter, obviously.
I'm looking here. I don't see it. There's one of the actors I kind of enjoyed in the movie was John Ailes. He played Kabul. Mm-hmm. And every time he was like driving him around, like he was the other agent kind of working with Leslie Nielsen.
Yeah, kind of like a lower grade agent.
Yeah, like his contact in the area.
A supplier. Yeah, exactly. He was always in a different disguise. Well, yeah, pretty much. He always had a slightly different disguise in a different car.
Right. And I thought that was funny every time he showed up in a different car, and they were trying to like tail that guy, like follow him all covertly.
And he kept revving because it was a Mustang or something.
And then there's a scene where Kabul took them to the other secret agent's house, where it was basically Kevin McAllister.
Which is ironic because they're spoofing Home Alone, Kevin McAllister, but that kid is the kid that played Dennis the Menace.
Okay.
In the 93, 94.
Yeah, I wrote that in my notes.
Which is a John Hughes movie as well as.
Yeah, and it's funny when the bad guys come to get that kid. He's doing all the.
They're actually getting him back.
Yeah, like he's doing all the same stuff from Home Alone, but it's not really working as well, and they actually grab the
kid. Yeah, they're throwing the paint cans back at him and stuff, and they actually hit him.
Yeah,
that was pretty good.
Hit him with a paint can. That was pretty good. It's weird because like I don't. It's funny how sometimes the reference comedy is okay, and then other times it's not great. The Home Alone one was pretty good. I enjoyed that. Right,
and so not that this is going way too deep, but I remember the missile needs this chip. Somehow, I guess the scientist who designed it, I guess, stole it away from him, and he couldn't obviously use it without the chip. So when Leslie Nielsen gets a hold of it, he's going to smash it, and he's like, no, like. Don't do that. It could be used for good as well. Did they ever say like what it could be used for that was good?
They said it could either destroy the world or bring world peace.
But they never elaborated on that?
It does both. So if you use it in the one way, he can use it to rule the world. If it's used in the other way, it can bring world peace. But they never really go.
Well, I thought it was just like a guidance chip for the missile. So obviously that would bring destruction.
Right.
But when Leslie Nielsen wants to destroy it, he says it could be used to help people, but I didn't catch why.
I don't think they went into specifics, and even if they did, would it have mattered?
No, but that's just the way I think.
Well, what did you think of Andy Griffith being the bad guy in this?
I mean, that was fine, yeah. I mean, usually when I think of Andy Griffith, I always thought of probably Matlock first, then the Andy Griffith Show. Matlock, he's a little more of a grump sometimes. So, like, I could totally buy that, like, where I guess if I was just coming from Andy Griffith Show, it might be a little bit different, but I totally saw it. And I like Andy Griffith. I like Matlock and Andy Griffith Show.
Yeah, I'm not saying it was a bad choice. It's just a strange choice. I didn't think I'd ever see Andy Griffith playing the, like, super villain that wants to take over the world.
So I had a bunch of Jurassic Park toys, and one of them, it was supposed to be Dennis Nedry, even though it looked nothing like him. At least I'm pretty sure that's who it was supposed to be.
Was it fat?
But no, it wasn't. It just looked nothing like him. Anyway, that's not the point. But both the arms could pop off, which is kind of crazy to think that they sold a toy where the arms popped off so that you could have your dinosaur eat this guy's arms. But anyway, the way they locked back in looked identical to how they showed his arms when he's armed me. And I was like, he's coming out of the bathroom. You hear the toilet flush and he's got no arms. And then he says, arm me, but his pants were still up. So first of all, why would you go to the bathroom?
Right. We should probably
Or do
explain
any-
that Andy Griffith plays a villain that has no arms, except for
Yeah, his arms got blown off, so he has these, I guess, mechanical arms that can just pop right into these little sockets, and then it's like he's got normal arms. Okay, fine. But what's funny is, like, why would you ever take them off for any reason, especially to go to the bathroom? And it was just funny because you hear the toilet flush when he's first introduced, right after that gag, like, there's something on the radar. What is it? Well, it's this device that, blah, 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 blah.
Yes.
So he's like, coming out of the bathroom, I hear a toilet flush, but his pants are up and he's got no arms. It's just kind of funny to think, how was that working? Were you just sitting down pooping?
It's a little known fact that Andy Griffith had the feet of a chimpanzee. That's the only way he could have taken care of himself.
Yeah. But yeah, anyway, why would you take them off? If you lived in that if that was the way it would work, you'd never take them off.
It was very disarming.
Haha. I got to hand it to him. He really take care of business, though.
Ooh. I can't think of any more puns at this moment.
All right. He was getting it done hand over fist. All right. I don't know. It's a stretch. Let's go.
All right. Hey, if you want to hear us talk about another movie where somebody only had one hand or one arm, look up Drowning Mona. Available on our archives on YouTube.
I was just as eager to find out as they were, because I was like, wait, what movie did we do with one guy?
Well, it just popped in my head. There was that scene where they were like kind of supposing how he had lost his hand, and they were trying to come up with crazy puns like that too. And theirs also were not good.
Oh, what are you trying to say? Mine weren't good?
No, they weren't punny at all.
Uh-huh. Anyway, yeah. So, this movie, I actually enjoyed it a lot more in the first part, but yeah, once you get to the end, it was just kind of this generic, goofy, slapstick thing. I thought it was funny though that the nose of the missile, which they strapped the girl to in the beginning, actually looks like a nose. So at the end, Andy Griffith gets, Rancor gets put on the nose of it himself, unarmed. And when they show him like blast out, it looks just so ridiculous. Like you see it actually go into space, and it just looks like literally like someone just took a picture of him, like a Polaroid picture or something, cut out the edges of the white and just slapped it on this little thing of a missile. And then it blows up, and then all of a sudden his legs just pop down on the ground. It was just so dumb and ridiculous.
Right. Yeah. He kept saying, as long as there's a part of me, I'll be back. And then his legs land back on the ground. And we don't get any more follow-up, but the movie just abruptly ends right there.
Yeah, I almost thought there might be some little secret scene at the end, but there wasn't.
Yeah, it was a pretty funny, funny in a weird way. I didn't expect the movie just to end like that. Usually there's at least another scene or two after the bad guy loses, but they're like, no, he's gone, and then we're done.
All right, can you pull out a Star Trek reference for us?
I'm trying to think of one. One of the girls I thought at first was the girl who played Jadzia Dax, but I think I was wrong on that.
Okay.
Can you?
Yes, the guy that was like the supplier of his gear, was it Noggin? Is that what they called him?
Oh, like his version of Q?
Yeah, I think his real name, it's Clyde.
Yeah, he's an
Cusenta.
He's an Asian actor.
Yes. He was in a few episodes as an admiral in The Next Generation.
Oh, okay. Yep, I can picture it now. There you go. What would you give this one?
Again, I remember thinking this was a lot funnier when I first saw it. And even though there were actually a few times where I actually did laugh at some of the stuff I saw, it didn't unfortunately hold up for me as much. I'll be kind, I guess, to it and give it a C-, I think.
Okay. I was thinking about giving it a C. So we both gave it a slightly lower score than UHF. So if you had to pick, like you're on a deserted island and they're like, which movie do you want to be stuck with? Would you pick UHF?
Now that's a tough question. I don't know. I mean, the only thing that I think is kind of the saving grace is because so many movies, they were current movies that Spy Hard was referencing at the time. It's almost funnier to see. Even it doesn't make sense, I know, to give one a higher score, but to somehow still in the end choose the other. But because it references so many of the movies that were contemporary as I was growing up, it almost makes this maybe the one to watch more. I don't know. It's kind of weird.
Yeah, for me, I didn't hate it. I liked it. I laughed at it quite a bit, actually. But the difference in spoof style, like just a reference to me isn't super funny, where the references in UHF, they had a reason. Like they were something that he was playing on his television, it was a show he created, a movie he created, or just some weird commercial airing on his TV station. So those references, for the most part, that's how they were. We had a couple instances where he had the vivid imagination, so it was kind of just a scene within his head, which at least is kind of explained. Like both of these movies had Rambo scenes. In Spy Hard, it's just they just dress up like Rambo for no reason and go into the jungle. In UHF, even though I was complaining kind of a little bit about the Rambo scene in that one, like I get where it's coming from. He's going to rescue his friend, so now he's imagining in his head that this is how it's going down. So it doesn't just feel like...
Make up your mind.
It doesn't feel like it's super out of place. It just felt too long in UHF. But yeah, I guess I'd have to stick with UHF on that one too. I didn't mind Spy Hard that much. I think for me, especially like the spy aspect of it, you get all the James Bond stuff, the Mission Impossible stuff. That's kind of fun to see. I always love Austin Powers for the same reason, because, I'm such a big Bond fan that I like watching the spoofs of Bond as well. And, it's really entertaining. Yeah. So next we were talking about doing sci-fi. We already mentioned Forbidden Planet with Leslie Nielsen, and you had another favorite that you've been wanting to do for a while.
Dun 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 dun. Flash. Oh, he'll save every one of us. Come on. Dun 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 dun. Help me out, man. Flash. Oh, he's the miracle
movie. Like I don't think I've ever seen it. Flash Gordon.
Oh, then I can't wait, because I know you're going to have something. I can already tell you.
Now, he can run really fast, right?
Yeah, he's a part of the Justice League that runs really fast. And in fact, I think they finally said he is faster than Superman.
And he has to, he fights Evil Dr. Ming, who's a gorilla or something like that.
Yeah, there's like a gorilla, and I know he's teamed up with Batman before. I think they actually did a version of him in this new Justice League movie. But obviously it's a different actor, but they did make references to what happens in this movie.
So are you going to bring up Voyager when we do Flash Gordon?
Yes. No, not really. Well, no, that's, I mean, I know they did that Captain Proton thing or whatever, but no.
All right. Well,
anyways.
Yes. I guess that's probably it for this one.
Yeah. I had fun with it, but not as much fun as I once had with it. I've kind of outgrown it a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm so mature now.
Yes.
But definitely check it out if you're into goofy slapstick movies, especially stuff that's referencing obviously all these 90s movies.
Or if you're a fan of Leslie Nielsen's other comedies.
Right.
Because it still has some of the same feel, even though it's a slightly different team. All right. Well, thanks for listening. Don't forget to subscribe, join us, follow us on Instagram, YouTube, all the things.
Actually, I would recommend you unsubscribe. Never listen. Don't share. Forget about us. You'll be better off for it.
Go back through the archives and check out our YouTube. And give us thumbs up and thumbs downs and leave some comments. Okay.
That'd be great.
That'll do it for us. All right. See you next time.
All right. Bye.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm about to travel through time. I bid you adieu.
Don't stop now! You can't go! All the plants are gonna die!
Where are you going? I've got to return some videotapes.
Bye, Felicia.